Hey everybody, this is Claire, and this is Small Joyful Things. As always, I go to thrift stores, or I go to estate sales, or sometimes I buy things from Craigslist, and I'm always looking for things that I find interesting, or that I think you guys might find interesting. And then I bring them home, try and find out as much as I can about them, and then tell you guys about them. So I've got something kind of big today. I don't mean big as like important, I mean actually physically big. I have this enormous vessel, jug, whatever you want to call it. It's incredibly round, I have to say. It's round, it's quite heavy, and it's got this amazing handle on it. Basically, I picked it up and I thought it was very interesting and very pleasing, and it had this amazing handle. And obviously, it's a spout. It's for pouring in a very thin stream. You can see basically if you're pouring, you pour out of this side in very small amounts. And the fact that there's a hole on this side means that the stream will be more even. Like it won't kind of it won't be as turbulent because the air has a place to come in on this side as opposed to on this side. You can see that there's a lot of interesting stuff going on here. Like the glaze is pretty bizarre. You can see these big kind of wide kind of, I think they were going for kind of an impressionist look, I guess, just kind of giving this these big strokes of color and then seeing how it would turn out. I can say that just based on the bottom, if you see this kind of edge here, that diamond shape, and there's another one kind of there as well, I think that means that it was raku fired. It would kind of make sense to me because the glaze kind of looks like that. It's a very rough kind of, rustic or, primitive kind of firing. But I have this kind of where the glaze ends there or whatever. I have heard that essentially when you're firing with a raku, you'll often put paper on the bottom to kind of cover, like essentially to stop it from sticking or whatever. And that's where that comes from. That kind of look. The glaze looks about right for raku as well. You can see all those crazy, like black and iridescent colors. So I bought this in a thrift store for $7, and really I did it because I found it incredibly interesting. I thought it's got, it's art pottery, it's going to be cool, and it's also signed in the base. And I thought I'd be able to puzzle out who that is, and I can't. I've tried every possible variation, and I've tried a bunch of different, like I kind of tried to essentially puzzle out what the letters are, and I've really got nothing. I'm going to leave it for you guys to take a look. That may be a Y or a G. I, maybe that's an LL. Yilla, I don't know. And then maybe an I. Like, I kind of thought it might say Gilly, but that obviously doesn't work. I honestly have no better ideas apart from that. Whatever research I've got has turned up with basically nothing. So really all we've got is the object in front of us, unfortunately. What we can say about it, and bearing in mind that, pottery is not really exactly my forte, it has a lot of kind of these little pieces in it. You can see a probably prominent one right here. That there is the grog, if I remember correctly. That is the pieces of like existing pottery that are ground up and then put into it in order to make it stronger into the clay essentially before it's fired. The pieces of grog in this case are fairly large and they occur in a couple of different places. There's another big one there as well. So it kind of lends to this theory that this is essentially someone attempting, primitive pottery. Now, what can you actually say about the form? Now, here's where stuff gets interesting, but I will measure off first. And this is going to be kind of hard because this is quite big, like I said. It is about 8 inches tall. And I'm going to eyeball this. About 6.5 inches across from the two spouts. And it's going to be about, I'm going to say maybe 6 inches across this way. It's only a little bit bigger across the spouts than it is across the actual width. It's very, very round, I have to say. It very much seems like what happened with this is that the shininess or whatever, the glaze or whatever, is like, it doesn't come out, it's not really like very, very polished shiny. It's almost kind of a matte. You can see that it doesn't kind of work. There are kind of little bits here which are kind of shinier, but that's about it. The rest of it is very matte. But anyway, like, what can you actually say about this itself as the form? We got something on that. And what we've got is this. The bridge double-spouted vessel. Okay? And this, I have to say, is like, it's been something that's been around for centuries, for a very, very, very long time. It is very much South American in origin. And you can see that there's a whole bunch of these different designs, but the kind of big feature is the two spouts and the bridge in the middle, which serves as handle. And I have to say, like, it's an incredibly clever design. Here's an example of someone actually trying, I think this is effectively a modern reproduction. Yeah, someone essentially trying to make one. I think that one actually might be made out of plastic. I'll just go back. Come on, Google. But yeah, so all the ones that you see here are basically ones that are in museums. You know, these are very ancient pots. So when I actually picked this up, I had an idea that it was probably South American, or at the very least kind of like Mexican or so. We're kind of like in that kind of area. And the actual double spout and bridge vessel does come from like South America. It's from Nazca and Paracas, basically in Peru. There's a few examples here of like the forms where you actually see them. And this type of vessel is normally used for ritual purposes and most often found in graves. Interesting details, I have to say, but they're always quite nicely decorated. A lot of the ones here, the really old ones in museums and everything, see that one's in the Brooklyn Museum. You can see that they have these incredible designs on them. Like, they really are just like these wonderful pieces of art. I mean, yes, grave goods, that would make sense. So they'd want, you know, someone to be, you know, to go off into the afterlife with the best possible stuff. So essentially, what does that mean? Yeah, you can see it's incredibly round. What does that mean for the little piece that we've got here? Essentially, I think this is definitely modern. All right, you can even see like the under part there. That's where it didn't glaze. Oh, the heavy. Whoever this person is, and maybe I'll find them someday. You never know. Yeah, don't know. Whoever this person is, I think essentially that they're attempting to recreate primitive pottery, and specifically basing it off essentially looking at pictures, designs, and everything for the bridge double spout vessel. I don't know if this, like, if they were kind of just going for like, oh, you know, like, we'll put in the actual spout here, because the other ones in the pictures, definitely the prehistoric, well, I mean, the very old ones definitely don't have that. They only have two spouts, and the spouts are the same. This one is kind of just a little bit of a variation. But like, I can't find anything more on it, and without being able to identify the artist, I can't really say much more about it here. It is likely a Vancouver artist, considering where we are. Again, being in Vancouver, the art pottery scene here is astronomical. There are so many like world-class potters here. You could essentially like pick up amazing art pottery for years and never repeat a piece, or never repeat an artist, I should say. You get it, like, the stuff is just everywhere. So that's basically what I think is going on here. What we have is someone essentially being experimental, trying out primitive pottery and creating a bridge double spout vessel, just to see like what essentially what would that look like, why would that work, you know, maybe to just kind of figure out the design. And we came up with this. I kind of think it looks a bit like a miniature bowling ball, or maybe I think a kettlebell. I used to do a lot of kettlebell work, so it's the form of like picking it up and kind of swinging around this big weight, this big round weight, is actually fairly familiar to me. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Unfortunately, lacking any more information, we can't really put a price on it. I would say it's probably worth what I paid for it. I mean, it's interesting, but it's still going to be too heavy to really ship anywhere. I'm probably going to hang on to it for a while and see if I can figure out any more about the artist. If I do, obviously I'll put up an update video. Otherwise, I'm probably going to be sending it back to the thrift store, and hopefully it'll find its way to someone else who will keep it for longer. So there we go. That's my small joyful thing for the day. Thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.